We're not going to get a chance to be Braveheart because our enemies do not have the courage of John Longshanks. Our enemies are cowards. Our enemies are weaklings. Our enemies are the betas of the betas. And all we have to do to oppose them is boycott, divest, and sanction them. Don't give them any more of your tax money. Don't speak to them. Don't acknowledge them in any way. Go get a corporation. Go have someone incorporate you through LegalZoom for $500 and then use that for a bank account. Hey guys, John here in Los Angeles with the Alpha Channel update for Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. There's some things I want to talk about. I have some art to show off. In animation school, they asked us to do one week, one of our classes, I don't remember which one it was, asked us to do a drawing of a dream. And I chose this one. This was a dream I had as a kid. I got bullied a lot as a kid, and we had this pond in our neighborhood. And I don't remember who it was. Some older guy had been getting in my face, and I had happened to have a screwdriver in this dream. And I drove it up through his chin and out through the top of his skull. And that was one of the best dreams I ever had. I was never afraid of being bullied after that. I was taking Taekwondo. I was a kid in high school. And yeah, this is a beautiful piece of artwork. I'm very proud of this. Maybe someday I'll redo this and make it into like a poster. That would be really cool. Okay, I'm here to promote my books, Legacy of a Mad Scientist here on YouTube, 13 hours of magnificent science fiction audiobooks, and The Legend of Ashley Fox here on also on YouTube. You can buy them at Amazon.com as paperbacks. You can download ebooks from Smashwords.com, or you can check out our website, ashleyfox.ninja. Okay, on with the fun. So, since the last time I spoke to you, I haven't completed any new art. I did a shoulder workout. I did some other stuff, but no new art yet. I do have some things I want to talk about. Specifically, the busy Baxon idea from Winnie the Pooh. I think Rabbit had posted a sign that he was busy and would be Baxon. And no one understood it. They had to go ask everyone in the forest what it meant, and someone had to translate it as Rabbit had left his home and will be back soon. And we have a lot of people who are doing that, doing busy work. They're back soon, but they're never really there, even when they are home, even when they're available, because they're chasing things they don't want to get for false goals. They're doing things they don't want to get outcomes they don't want. A lot of people are. A lot of us are. So, and another thing that happens when you get into this mindset, this busy, back soon mindset, especially around the entertainment industry, I've noticed. So what happens in movies and TV, once you learn how the sausage is made, it oftentimes becomes less enjoyable. The process of consuming media becomes less enjoyable if you know how the media is made. That's definitely something I've experienced in my life. When I read an article, I see bias right away. I can pick out what's facts from bias immediately, and the average viewer can't really do that and doesn't separate emotional bias from fact. And the media knows this, journalists know this. This is what their game is. This is what my game is. This is what Alpha Channel is. So I heard someone today say the biggest failure is something really well done but unnecessary. You could say that all of art is unnecessary, but it's also the most necessary thing. That mindset, then with that mindset, then cleaning becomes the highest form of art. Just cleaning up the space. And there's nothing wrong with that, but why not go a step beyond? You can do more than just have a clean cave. You can have a clean building. And more than just a square building, you can have a beautiful, elegant skyscraper. So this notion of the most wasteful thing in the world is something elegantly done is wrong. You wouldn't have sculpture without that. That's a mindset for an entrepreneur who's trying to build a better mousetrap and doesn't recognize beauty. That's it. It's a poverty mindset. That mindset will almost never know joy. At least I couldn't live my life that way. So the next thing that leads me to is etiquette and respect and evaluation versus ability. How does beauty deal with etiquette and respect? Etiquette is speaking to people with less than just business. I've noticed, so people don't always recognize their own features and flaws, myself included. And I've always tried to be respectful of people's time. And so a lot of people believe there's two mindsets. There's an engineer mindset and an artist mindset. The engineer mindset doesn't want, hi, how are you? What's going on? They don't want you to waste 20 minutes of their time asking them questions about their life. They want to get to the meat of the issue. I think with some people, sometimes, if you just jump straight to business, it's easier for them to feel disrespected. It's easy for them to feel exploited and underpaid. And I think this comes from, especially with artists, in communicating with them, because it's a lot of what I do. This comes from not having control of the entire process. I've been thinking about this, about publishing versus branding versus being an artist, right? They call an artist who can write, draw, and ink a triple threat, because that person can essentially produce their own book if they want to tackle the challenge of lettering and publishing. But that's not the crux of the issue. The real crux of the issue is the story. The branding and publishing is also the story. It's the emotional engagement. When someone says to you, when someone is so busy that they say, this really applies to TV and media and comics, and they say about another work of art, can you sum it up for me? That rips the soul out of the experience. How can you tell someone the emotional experience that you had without giving them the experience? It's easier to just give them the work. But people want you to sum it up, and not even, it's out of laziness. It's that same thing. It's that same thing about gold. Oh, I don't have to polish it. It's one less thing I have to think about. But are you really thinking about anything that important? Because the people I know who are asking for summaries and asking for cliff notes are some of the shallowest, non-engaging people I've ever met. They're incredibly different mindsets, and they're both people that you have to recognize and evaluate and negotiate with. And there's a lot more than two types of people. They might be this way about their work. They might be a different way about other elements of their life. I don't know. What am I trying to say? Dealing with people around art is very difficult. Dealing with people around selling art is also difficult. The production of art is different from the sale of art. I went to a seminar, or maybe I saw a seminar online. I think it was actually a TED Talk, where they said, go ahead and spend 30 seconds coming up with something creative on a piece of paper, and then hand that to the person next to you. The person next to you spent 3.5 minutes coming up with a way to sell that. And they said, this is essentially the production of art. Your artist gets very little time to produce something magnificent. The sales team has more time to sell that magnificent thing, but no ability to affect it. That's pretty relevant when it comes to dealing with the engineering class versus the artistic class. Engineering class is kind of the business class also, although the business around words is different from the business around numbers. The business around numbers is concrete. The business around words is deliberately obfuscated. This is why lawyers are always drunk. Imagine if everyone had to be sober for 30 days to vote. Imagine that. Like, literally give that some time. And think about it. Isn't voting one of the most important things we do? And if it's not one of the most important things we do, why are we doing it? Is it part of the lie? Are we being lied to? All these things are important. I don't want to get into politics. I want to stay a little bit more abstract, but abstract as it relates to the individual in his pursuit of joining groups and opposing groups. So this is a game that we're all playing, right? We're all individuals, but we're all members of groups. And it has to be okay to critique and oppose groups while it has become considered in poor taste to critique and oppose individuals. So if I say that person is dumb or slow, that's okay. And it's also become, wow, it's really illegal to critique groups. And some groups you're not even allowed to oppose anymore. There's only one group that you're allowed to critique and oppose now that I think of it. And I'm a member of that group. I'm a member of that group by choice and by pursuit and by nature, right? So I choose to be an alpha. I choose to work hard. I choose to, dude, I don't have just a 6-pack. I've got like a 24-pack. I have all the side ones. So, and you know what else I've noticed? These little flickering power fluctuations. That's affirmative action in action. We have dumbed down our society by groups who don't belong here without having to say, you know, they should build your own civilization. I know we're all part of the same civilization now, and it's all Tower of Babel, and that there's one group trying to, the Bramble, who's trying to tyrannize the rest of us. Let me get back to this. It's really easy to get off course with all this shit. So, in my pursuit to not be political, busy people who have no respect for others, and people who deliberately take offense with that, like, there's so much drama that's fake. So much fake drama being done for clout and ego, and you disrespected me, and oh, I think you disrespected me, you need to treat me with more respect, and blah, 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 blah. Do the work. Just let go of all the nonsense and do the work. I don't mention anyone's names. I don't have to. I don't care who you are. As an individual, I don't care. None of you politicians, all you famous politicians whose names I know and other people know, as an individual, you mean nothing to me. You're the representative of a group, and a group that is trying to tyrannize other groups. And as that, if I ever have to confront you as an individual, I have no problem beating the living shit out of you. As an individual, I can challenge you to a fight and you can pussy out. But come get some. I love being me. I love being me so much. The tyrants want you to kneel before them. Your brothers want you standing strong at their side. You can choose to be in the group that I'm in, or you can choose to work for the enemy and go kneel for the enemy. Go kneel for Xerxes. Go kneel for gold. Don't want you, don't need you. You'll never help anyone. You can't even help yourself. You can't help anyone from your knees. So, is what you want good for you? If you want a promotion at work, is that really what's going to improve your life? A little bit more money going to make you happier with who you are? Probably not. This is funny. I cannot remember the taste of ice cream. That's how long it's been since I've had ice cream. Here's the story I wanted to tell. This is an important story. And it's about, it was in a compilation of stories about dragons. I believe this one was a short story written by Orson Scott Card. And it was about a story about the story of the dragon on the mountain. And a Chinese village lived in the shadow of this mountain where a dragon lived. And every generation, the martial arts temple would send their greatest student up the mountain to face the dragon. And no student had ever returned. So when it came time for the next champion, the temple's greatest student, every 20 years, one of them has to go up the mountain and face the dragon. When it came time for this guy to go, his rival followed him to watch and see what happened and to bring the story back to all the other students. And it was very, they were really close. They were, as you can imagine, it was a lifetime of rivalry between these two. And the second place guy maybe didn't feel that he deserved second place. I don't remember the specifics of the story, and you'll understand in a minute why they're not important. But he followed him up there, and at the top of the mountain, or in a clearing near the peak of the mountain, there's a small cabin, small stone cabin. very clean, very organized, very well kept and maintained. And to both of the young men's surprise, it was the older martial artist who'd gone up 20 years before who lived there. The best martial artist would go up the mountain and to face the dragon and not return. And what was happening was that the drama, the pressure of being best is exhausting, you know? And if you've been studying martial arts from 10 years old to now you're 30, maybe you don't want to live in that village anymore. Maybe you don't want to live at that temple anymore. Maybe the idea of being just solitary is really appealing. What's key about this is that the guy who brings the story down the mountain is the guy who really, how do you say this, experiences all the acclaim. He's the only best guy left. The other best guy's gone. And he's the one telling all the stories of all the lessons that they learned coming up. He's the one, there's something about that too, where when you're being told the lesson from a first experience, it's more of a lecture. If you're being told the lesson from someone who was there, sometimes that's the easier one to grab a hold of. It really depends on you as the student, you know. They say in advertising that it requires 7 exposures for a customer who wants to buy to remember that you're selling what they want to buy and come and see you to get it. So there's a similar aspect to that when it comes to learning things. You know, do you have to learn a lesson 7 times before you get it? In the Marine Corps, they made us do 4 push-ups for 1 push-up. And Marines never get anything right the first time. So 1, 2, 3, 1. And that's a good philosophy to have in life. You know, how many PlayStation levels have you beat the first time? And would you respect it if you did? Do you want it to be easy? Do you want life to be simple? It's not supposed to be for a reason. So that's the story. But the real lesson is about contempt and pride and persistence, and dealing with other people. You know, once you find out the level of respect someone wants, it's easy to give that to them. If you have to kill a man, it costs nothing to be polite. You know, there's a reason why everyone loves that movie Master and Commander. Those guys could have been dicks, but they're teaching, they're investing in the youth. And that's the problem we have in our society today. The tyrants in charge are not interested in investing in the youth because they see them as racial and ethnic enemies. That's what's happening and that's what's going on. That's why our schools are being dumbed down and destroyed, not just for white people, for all of us. When you have an ethnic group who's just 2% of the population that owns everything, and they see the rest of you as cattle, go find out what the word goyim means. Go find out what you mean to these people. Why are there no guidance counselors? Where the fuck? No one's interested in your future. It doesn't matter what ethnicity you are. Your parents don't have time to be interested in your future. Your parents are telling you, you've got to be resilient enough to do this on your own. You have to sort this out on your own. You have the internet now. You can't be coming to me for all your questions. You have to go find the answers on your own. And that's what we as white people are going to do. We're going to leave the rest of you. We're going to group up and we're not going to feel the least bit obligated to help you. And you've done this to yourselves. The bar now is competency. If you're not competent, you're being left behind. And it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are. Again, when it comes to skating or drawing, I don't care who you are. You better be good. You better be good. And then you better not be in a group that's telling me that you're my historic enemy. If this is interesting, and this totally applies to me. As a martial artist, as a skater, as an artist, as a human being with respect for other people, I can deal with anyone as an individual. But if you're going to tell me that you're in a group that makes you superior to me, I'm going to do everything I can to destroy you. And everything about you. And I will do that by ghosting you. In order to talk to me, you're going to have to pass 1 of 3 bars. Great art, great writing, great skating, 4 bars, great martial arts. If you can do any of those 3 things, 4 things, I'll have a conversation with you. Otherwise, you have nothing to offer me. business, all these other things I can learn on my own. That's the key. You have nothing to offer me anyhow. I can get all your lessons for free because I can get them on a single exposure. Here's another story for you guys. I used to attend this religious group with an ex-girlfriend, a former girlfriend, and the minister there said something really interesting. He said, some people, I'm paying their rent every month for 4 months in a row. Some people are coming up to me after the service and saying, I was in here a few weeks ago and I haven't been back. It was the first time I was ever in here. But I was in here a few weeks ago and you said XYZ, and that really turned my life around. And I can't thank you enough. I really I love what you're doing here. I don't really have time to attend very often, but it's amazing. So, you're doing the same amount of work. You're doing more work for person X who can't get it together, and you did almost nothing for person A who's running up and thanking you. How do you become person A? How do you become the alpha? And then go on to help other people. I'm hoping some of what I'm saying here is falling in fertile ground. Some of it might be stony ground. Some of it you might see me as an enemy, and God, I hope you do. Come and tell me to my face. Please, I'm begging for it. Come find me. Go out to Venice Skate Park any Saturday and start yelling about how much you hate white people. We're not going to get a chance to be Braveheart because our enemies do not have the courage of John Longshanks. Our enemies do not have the courage of Longshanks in Braveheart. They don't have the courage to stand up against us. Our enemies are cowards. Our enemies are weaklings. Our enemies are the betas of the betas. And all we have to do to oppose them is boycott, divest, and sanction them. Don't give them any more of your tax money. Don't speak to them. Don't acknowledge them in any way. Don't acknowledge them in any way. That's the world we live in right now. The people tyrannizing you can be ignored. They're immaterial. They may cancel you out of the SWIFT network. Go get a corporation. Go have someone incorporate you through LegalZoom for $500 and then use that for a bank account. Let them shut down the SWIFT network on you. So what? So what? Let them cancel you off Indiegogo. They just canceled, so we all know who owns, I'm just going to come right out and say this. The Jews own all the porn and the banks and the propaganda. And they just had a bunch of guys canceled off Kickstarter for putting up risque comic books. And they did it through the SWIFT network. And the reason they did it is because they were competition for their own pornography. You can't have white guys selling porn if the Jews own the porn industry, and now they can shut you down for whatever they want. They could shut me down for this, but it's not going to stop me. I'll just make another account and keep putting these out. These tyrants are cowards. These tyrants are pussies. These tyrants are pieces of shit. And I can't wait to see what happens in Israel. I cannot wait. I love that North Korea popped off the other day. I don't want to talk about politics. But the problem that we have is that no one wants to take the responsibility for developing the youth in this country. This is why they hate Hitler so much, because of the SS, because of the schools that made the German youth absolutely unstoppable. And this is the problem with the youth. No one's telling the youth to be alpha. Be alpha. Be alpha. No one's telling them that on an individual level, because on an individual level, the real alphas don't have time for the youth in this world. They just don't have time for them. They're not teaching in schools. There's so few of us now. So many white males have been completely turned into betas. Complete betas. And sigmas who are just hiding. I was a sigma for a long time. Just hiding, just keeping my mouth shut until I launched this channel 28 days ago. I didn't even have the right to say that I was an alpha. Because to be that in today's society, you have to oppose the tyrants who are destroying the youth culture. And they are. They're turning everyone into homosexuals. And this is them. This is them doing it. And now they're openly shutting you down over, what would you even call that? In this culture, how do you say that smut is illegal? Now, I'm not promoting that, but there has never been a greater case of the pot calling the kettle black. They are literally doing that because you're competing with their projects. They're shutting you down because you're competing with their project. I guarantee you there were no Jewish pornographic dealers shut down in this whole SWIFT network cancellation. It was done by Jews against white people. Come and get me. Come and get me for being a racist. I am a racist. I am anti-Semitic all the way. And not desert Semitic, I'm anti-Ashkenazi. Ashkenazi Jews are the tyrants of this world. So, yeah. Do the work. This is me doing the work. And you know how I know? You know how everyone knows that this is me doing the work? Because no one's afraid of calling out the Irish for ruling the world. No one's afraid the Pacific Islanders rule the world. Because we all know that's not the case. So boycott, divest, and sanction Jews everywhere you find them.